to discuss. Today's episode is all about, ladies and gentlemen, childhood. Here it comes. Childhood.
Yes.
Cherie DeVille, first of all, hello,
Yes.
welcome.
Hello.
Good to have you in. Your hair looks very voluminous.
Thank you, makeup artist Ozzy.
It makes me think of Jonathan Van Ness because he has long hair that's always got a lovely wave to it, and he also is famous for a beachy curl on the show.
I
And
was
that's almost a beachy
serving
curl.
Mermaid Barbie.
Mermaid Barbie.
One of the best childhood toys ever. But that's not what I'm dressed as.
I was
First of all,
gonna say, tell me
Jeff
about the
Leach.
outfit,
Are
yeah.
we talking about our outfits?
We are, yeah.
Are we talking about our outfits? Okay.
As you know, ladies and
So,
gentlemen, we always
yeah.
thematically dress to the
Yes.
episode subject matter, but we always have a different take on it.
Yeah.
Cherie, what's your take? What's the outfit about?
So today I just dressed in one of my absolute favorite cartoons and stuffed animals, the Care Bears, from when I was a kid. And I
that's
brought
not a
with
purchase
me
for the episode. That's one of
I
your
had
home,
this.
a
This
little
is
vintage
from
piece
home.
you have.
Yeah, and then this is a 1980s Care Bear, Cheer Bear. Yeah.
This is
Do you wanna
Cheer Bear.
touch her?
I do, and I like the little rainbow, so she
Yeah.
looks very like LGBTQIA plus community
Yeah,
positive.
even before that was a thing.
I've got to be honest, I love everything about the bear, but this little fucking
Don't start with
sliver.
her hair.
No, but come on, this makes her look like she's going to write a blog
She has
about
hair
our
loss.
podcast and try and get us cancelled. Am I wrong? Yeah, and then they talked about childhood emotions, and that was triggering to me. She does look like she's going to get us
She looks
cancelled.
triggered. I love it.
She looks like she's going to cancel us, if I'm honest.
She looks like she's a balding man, though.
A little bit,
Do you
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like, who's doing, like, a comb-over that stopped working, like,
punk
15
rock.
years ago.
Punk rock 40-year-old lead singer of a progressive
Now
punk rock
she's
band.
emo as
yeah,
well?
Yeah.
She's got a lot going on. I feel like you might be laying some childhood trauma
Does she do anything? Can
onto
you
my
squeeze her
bear.
hand? She says some shit or not?
No. What do you mean?
Wow. Some of them, you press the hand, they go, I love you.
From the 80s? Did we have that technology?
Let's see if she does it. Let's try it. Let's try it. Oh, wait, hang on. Here you go. You press it.
Are you
I'm
not
gonna
in the
cancel
no-nos?
you. You have offended me. Wow, look, she's got all the things. Wait until you read my blog. Oh, wow. Yeah, amazing.
Great. You
I like
can't-
how you love
can't
it.
touch
Hang on.
her
Can
anymore.
I point out one last thing? I have to touch her just one last
No,
time if you
she's
don't mind.
new. I had one as a kid, but
I was
she's not my original.
Gonna say she's also still got a bit of plastic hanging out
I
of her palm.
know.
That's how little love she's been given.
Bite it off. I used to cry when my stuffed animals had tags because I thought it hurt them.
Oh, really?
So I appreciate you taking off her
There you go.
tag.
She's free
You've
now.
literally saved her
Don't cancel
from
me.
drama. She's gonna can't look at the hair. She's already done it.
And
She's
is this
tweeting
something
you right now.
you would wear when you were a youngster, when you were a child?
I mean,
A little sweater,
casual
pair of
clothing,
shorts?
yeah, shorts and a sweater. I did a lot of dresses. I was definitely a super girly kid for sure.
I mean, you were a girly woman as well.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
quite effeminate in your
Yeah, but I never went through a
presentation.
big tomboy phase or anything.
No, you didn't?
No, not really. Yeah. How
Well,
about you? What's this? Why
you
does
what.
your shirt not match your tie?
I'm
upset.
The shirt matches
No,
you
the
mean the
tie
blazer.
and the blazer, the jacket.
Well, first of all, this is I wanted to dress as my sort of high school self because
Did you have a uniform? A school that had uniforms?
Yeah. I went to a school that had uniforms. Yeah, we had to wear our uniforms up until 18 years of age.
18 years.
When I was 17 and 18, you could wear just a suit with your house tie, your house
What
colours.
is your... Oh, okay. I thought you meant house, came from home.
No, house
Sorry.
like Harry Potter! You
That's
have
a thing?
been... Yeah,
That's a real... you had houses?
Instead of a sorting hat, though, to choose which house, you just had an old pedophile Latin teacher who would go, you will be in Norwood House because your surname is Leach. Yeah, stuff like that.
Was it done alphabetically?
Yeah,
or
it was.
personality-wise?
It was alphabetical, and I was the head of house for my house.
The houseboy?
I was the house captain, yeah, head of the house.
What were your responsibilities?
Just making fun of the younger children.
Were you like a narc?
Explaining away the years of grooming that I endured by 3 teachers in my school. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. We'll get into that when we talk
Okay,
about
sorry. I'm
childhood.
upset for you already. Jesus Christ.
It's all right. None of them, as far as I remember, none of them got even a finger in. So I mean, Is it really abuse if it's just a little light touching? Yes, it is. It actually is.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely actually abuse.
But can I explain it away because I'm from that generation? Just go, they were just characters. That's what your parents said. Well, he's such a character. No, Mum,
he's a pedophile.
He's definitely a pedophile. He's definitely touching children at school inappropriately in the back of the head.
You deserve it.
I was cute. Actually, you know what the irony is as well? Apart from the beard, I didn't have that when I was a teenager, but I did have curtains. My hair has kind of returned to how I looked.
Is this your original hairstyle?
Yeah.
Is this it? Are you going to be like a cartoon character where like this is it for the rest of your life? Like you found your hairstyle and you're done? You found it at 12 and now that's it for the rest of the life?
No, I think I could definitely. When I was a kid as well, I used to do lots of different things. I shaved my head before. I had a mohawk.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen you with different hairstyles.
Buzz cut underneath with the long curtains on top. I've done short
but
and
this
spiky.
is it. You've come back to it. You've gone through your rebellious years, and now this is it.
Yeah, I think I've laid to rest some of my childhood traumas, and by doing that, I've tapped into some of the things from childhood I actually quite like. And I do like my little natural, floppy haircut.
And it's very British.
And then, the blazer is obviously meant to look like a high school...
Right, like a uniform blazer.
And the reason I'm wearing that is because when I think of childhood, I don't think of my young childhood very much, because I have a lot of trauma.
When you were young.
When I was young.
Yeah.
So I find it very difficult to recall many years of my youngest childhood. Whereas what I do remember is my teenage years, some of my teenage years.
Like school, and like when you say you remember, do you remember more about like what was going on in school?
No, I don't remember the names of any of my teachers really.
What
I don't remember any of that.
More friend stuff, more home stuff?
I think when I think of childhood, I don't think of being a young child. I don't think of happy memories of young childhood.
Like a preteen,
I just think of being an angry teenager who is like just in torment every day. That's your
first kind of memories.
That's what I think of when I think of childhood.
Let me ask you, what is your first childhood memory?
That's a good question. It was when I was about 4 years old, I think, and but it's one of the only ones I have from young childhood. I remember I was playing with a friend in the back garden, and I jumped off this wall that now, if I looked at it, it'd be like, all right, it's like a
but like how tall were you at 4? So it'd be like a 6-foot wall, an 8-foot wall.
Yeah. Well, it was probably nearer like 4, 5, maybe 5 feet tall, and I jumped off it, and I remember my dad came out and be like, "Don't jump off the wall! You're gonna break the wall!" And he was
You're gonna break the wall?
Yeah. It was a bit wobbly, and like so.
That wouldn't be my concern if my child jumped off a high thing about the object.
Well, this is why I feel like smacks true of our subject matter of childhood, because I do think that we're just millennials. You're a millennial as well?
No, Gen X.
Are you Gen X?
I'm a younger Gen X. Though.
You're a young Gen X. Yeah. I guess I'm an older millennial.
Yeah, elder millennial.
Born
that's
1984. Elder millennial. An elder.
That's
wise millennial.
Wise above the other millennials.
Bring him in. He has a Discman. He knows.
He knows. Tell us what time was like before. Yeah.
We used to have a thing called MIDI recorders. Do you remember when MIDI... That was the thing for a hot second. Do you remember? VHS tape. Just a little VHS tape reading
What was the non-VHS VHS?
Betamax.
Thank God.
That was before
totally
me.
unrelated, but I
that was
could not let that go.
That was your era.
Me.
That was Gen X.
But it was brief. A-track, brief.
Well, I feel like millennials were the last generation of people who some of the shit we endured in childhood that was just normalized and accepted would now be treated as just unbelievable abuse.
CPS would come immediately. Like an emergency where we're just like,
Yeah, pedophile
like if your
teachers
friend
grooming you, parents giving you a smack, like getting smacked and
getting the spoon out. Spoon with your name on it.
Just a big clip around the ear. Do you know what I mean? Like
Did you get spankings?
I got spankings when I was younger, and then when I got a bit older, I definitely got like a smack. Do you know what I mean? Like
a open palm.
No, my dad and mum never beat the shit out of me.
To the face?
But I got smacked across the face. I got a few I remember my dad, I think he kicked me once. I was cleaning something up in the utility room on the floor, and I was crying, and we'd had like a tussle or something, and he like gave me a smack, and then he sort of kicked me. And I remember
I had plenty of friends who got corporal punishment, so it was still, I didn't, but it was super normal. If one of my friends was like, oh yeah, I did this, and my mom, I'd be like, oh cool, whatever.
You were like, that happens to everyone except me.
Well, my parents were very gentle, but they were those slightly more abnormal ones back in the day.
Because they were progressive.
Because they weren't beating their children.
Right.
Yeah. Literally.
I mean, look, and I don't regret. I don't resent my parents for those things because I understand they're just products of their environment. Like my dad.
That's how it was done.
My dad was beaten by his father.
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
On a daily basis with quite egregious violence. And so was his mother and stuff like that.
So
you know what I mean?
To him, he was toned it down 1,000,000%.
Well, he was like, to him, he'd ended that cycle of abuse.
Sure.
But in reality, it manifested in lots of other ways, you know. Yeah.
But it was certainly better maybe than what he had experienced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I remember that moment, that jumping off that wall and just being like, it was exhilarating. Like, I always wanted to do exhilarating things that put me in danger. And I remember from a young age feeling like that. A little bit, but I was also soft and sensitive in reality. But I just... What about you? What's your earliest childhood memory?
But not nearly as dramatic as that. It's just so when I was really, really little, my dad was still in grad school and my mom was working at a bank.
Right.
So she and her best friend...
Robbed the bank.
Right. They did. And then we were on the lam for a really long time.
They used you as a body shield in the robbery.
My first memory. Yeah. So much more I wish that was. I'm going to let that lie. I just let that lie on the internet, and then they're like, God damn.
It's going to end up in your Wikipedia page at some point.
We've said it. It's done. It's real.
What was it? So wait, so your mum worked at the bank. So what was the...
Yeah, so my one of the people that lived in their like apartment complex or whatever had a son who was 1 day older than me.
Right.
So my mom and his mom took care of us together. So I had mommy, my mom, and mommy.
Was it one of those weird situations that parents like to do where they go, they're going to get married one day, these two will get married
I should
one
ask.
day?
I'm sure they did. But they like co-parented for a while. So my first memory was on the playground with my little best friend on the little elephant slide. So I can like clearly remember the tiny little playground set outside the apartment complex.
Amazing. So just joyful memories.
I was probably like three, 4, like you.
It sounds like you
small.
had a reasonably happy childhood.
I did, yeah.
Wow.
I did. Yeah.
How was that?
Good. I mean, you know, like all that.
I'm so
and it's funny
jealous,
because,
so
like,
envious.
if it weren't for like I can, and I'll tell you the things that I like still like hold whatever you call like emotional trauma over. But like if I were to tell these things to anyone who had actual trauma, they'd be like, come the fuck on. They weren't
it's all relative, though, isn't it?
super emotionally available, or you know, like it's things like that. So like good parents, stayed together, no abuse, always spent time with me, always took time for my needs. I'd say the biggest problem wasn't even something that I didn't even realize it till later in life, you know, where you're like, well, how am I and how would I like to be and how would I like to be, I don't have kids, but like to my nieces.
Right.
And it's more emotionally available, definitely talking about emotions, talking about adult stuff more. You know, I don't mean like adult, like my
you just
job.
walk in there, kids, sit down.
Right. Do you know what I mean?
Auntie
like
Cherie's got some videos to show you. Now, when you're trying to gargle 12 dicks at once, there is an approach that will make it both.
Once you get to 13, you really have to change your methods. 12 is not.
Oh, dicks.
I mean, yeah,
I
dicks.
thought you meant age.
No!
I was like, whoa,
oh my God,
that's like a little fucked
Jesus
up.
Christ, I meant dicks. Oh my God.
Listen, I was like,
I'm
Cherie's
turning
gone
my
Hollywood on
Care
us.
Bear around.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's gone full Hollywood on us. She's
she's
drinking
not
the
even
blood of
looking at
children.
you.
It's like, yeah, she's angry with me. She's upset.
She's turned around.
Yeah.
She's typing.
Yeah, I feel like what is the right time to break the sweet innocence of childhood for kids to learn about some of these more adult themes of life, like sexual education or the violence that can go on, the dangers that the world poses to them.
I think it's pretty like for me when I was growing up in a relatively small town with other relatively sheltered people, you know what I mean, in a more sheltered environment. So I probably rightfully was okay waiting till I was younger because I wasn't like a kid whose parents hadn't talked to them about something and now I'm hearing about it from my peers.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Was there a defining moment? Was there a defining moment when that innocence of childhood was broken for you as a kid, where you went, when you learned about something or you were told something or you witnessed something that made you go, oh shit, life is dangerous or real or scary?
When we moved to Washington, D.C., and I went from like a rural environment that was like everyone was pretty chill and everyone knew each other to a giant school with like a big city, and people were like, you know, like I went to just wear whatever you want that you think is cute. Now you're in a school where like if it's not fashionable, you're, you know, like it was a really different. People were more sexual. People knew about drugs and cigarettes. Like people were wearing fashionable clothes, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
So I felt like in 7th grade, I had to like catch up fast, where that'd be so old for today's generation to be learning about stuff
I get
like
you.
this.
Yeah, it's weird. They learn things, I think, unnervingly young these days.
But if you don't learn it from your parents, you're going to learn it from your peers.
Sure.
So in my mind, your parents should be educating you pretty early, dependent on like if you live in a city and you can kind of tell who your kids are hanging out with, or if they have older siblings, or what they're coming home asking questions about, you should kind of be abreast of that.
That's the internet as well, unfortunately, does that. If a kid wants to learn about anything to do with sex, drugs, rock and roll, they can just get on the internet and Google it. Do you know what I mean?
I would argue before you give your child unfettered access to the internet, you better have educated them about anything they might find on the internet.
Well, here's my question to you.
At
what age should kids be given that access? Because this is a big debate. I know a lot of people
unfettered access to the internet?
Here's an iPhone, enjoy. Or here's an iPad,
without
feel free
parental
to
controls?
Without parental controls. 18, yeah.
18.
Wow.
100. You can see people die on the internet. Are you kidding me?
I feel that. But what about when you're a 17-year-old boy or girl and you want to crack one off?
You should better be talking to your parents about that and see if that's something that is appropriate for them to ask you permission to do. Like, I think it's inappropriate.
You can't. What 15, 16, 17-year-old is going to go
Why do you need porn? You don't need porn. I jerked off to my brain.
Well, you heard it here.
She's
killing her inside. The irony of a porn actress
I hope
saying,
no one under 18 ever watches my shit again.
Well,
it's disgusting.
Sure.
Use your goddamn imagination.
They will. That's the bottom line.
No,
they will. There are going to be,
But I don't think anyone deserves access to porn. You have an imagination.
I don't mean that. I
just
mean it's literally out there, with a very simple Google search. And I think there's parental controls to a certain level. Some that will affect other use of other apps or other publications.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. I personally feel like if you raise your child right, if you teach them right from wrong, morals, ethics, and give them an understanding of the world in conversation, I think they can have unfettered access to the internet from 16 onwards.
Well, we're only arguing about 2 years then.
Sure, but it's a big 2 years. That could be, because I actually think I almost want them to see things and then come back and know that they have an open dialogue with me where they can go, Dad, I was on this website and I saw this thing and there was like, this thing was going on. Is that all right? And then you can coach them through. They can go, well, actually, some people are into that. That's called fetish, or whatever. And it's not for everyone, and not everyone's going to like that. But you have to respect people as long as people are consenting and they're adults and blah blah blah. Or I saw a video of someone getting run over by a car and it fucked me up. It made me feel some kind of way. Let's talk about it. Well, this is the reality of life. There's more time. So I almost feel like there's a jump off point. You're not going to know what questions you're going to have to field until they've experienced something that needs questioning. Does that make sense?
That's true.
And at 16, you should be worldly wise enough to at least understand that there are dangers in the world.
Your friends have talked about all of these things.
Absolutely.
I remember these things.
My world was shattered when I was something like 9 years old. I was walking back from school with one of my older friends, and we found porno mags stashed in a bush. And there was definitely pages stuck together. So they were pre-used. The good old day of pornography magazines.
We've all had that experience. Well, older people have all had that experience of finding the sticky magazine in the woods and just being like, this is the best day of my life.
Also, I want to know who's out there jerking off into the middle of a fucking Hustler magazine and stuffing them in bushes for kids to find. Because there is
so many people, because everyone our age has that story.
Yeah.
So like tons.
Yeah, probably my teachers, those pedophile teachers are out there just going, just like placing them like an Easter egg hunt of like
follow-up question that I never thought of till this moment. I just assumed, this is stupid, I can't believe this is what I assumed. I literally, until this moment, just assumed, I'm done with it. I'm just going to like toss it on the ground.
No.
They put it there on purpose.
Yeah. I reckon it's like it's literally an Easter egg hunt of pornography. They're just trying to seduce and destroy the innocence of youngsters. They just place them around. And if you find one, you hang around long enough reading in the woods, a guy comes out of the woods in a bunny suit with just the penis cut out. Hello, kids! You found my magical treats!
No!
Yeah.
That's upsetting.
Look how excited you've made the bunny!
So today's the day I became traumatized.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Innocence gone, ladies and gentlemen.
Today is the day. What day? How old were you in your last innocence?
It definitely
45. Thanks, Jeff.
It definitely wasn't the gentleman's forearm that was inserted into her anus a few months ago. It was definitely this moment on this podcast.
Who goes up to the forearm? Don't be ridiculous. Come on now.
Wrist or nothing.
Okay.
Wrist or nothing.
So that was your first memory.
Yeah.
But what would you say, if anything, do you miss about your childhood? And I'm going to define childhood for you as like 10 and under even.
Oh, I just miss the... actually, you know what I miss? I miss, and this is not going to be a very funny answer, but it's an honest answer. I miss when my parents liked each other's company and were happy together. There was a period, I do have spotty memories of being away on a holiday, like looking at a church in France or Spain or something, on my dad's shoulder, eating an ice cream, holding onto his bald head, and my mum walking around, and the two of them having a little moment or holding hands or whatever. I do remember moments like that. And then from about 8 years old onwards, that's young. Really disappeared, and it was just.
And how long did they stay together after that?
Until we were grown adults, and then they would tell us, "This is my
and I bet they did it for you."
Well, this is what they would say. They would say to us, "They go, we stay together for the kids. We're only together because of you two. We're only together." They
said that out loud when you were kids.
Frequently, to my sister and I. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, isn't that fucked up? But you normalize stuff like that. I also want to...
How do you don't know better? You're a kid.
I also... Absolutely. I didn't have a point of reference, so I just normalized that as that's how people talk to one another. But I also want to highlight my parents were very loving of us that alongside the trauma and abuse we experienced. They weren't bad people. They just were very deeply upset with their relationship. They shouldn't have been married. They shouldn't have been together. Yeah. And then they had two kids, and they were like, "All right, we do what we've been taught.
This is what we do.
This is what society taught us.
You don't get divorced.
You stay together. You work through your problems." But we now know if you're screaming and shouting at each other every single night, probably break up. Just break up. That's a good look. Yeah, don't fuck your kids up.
But that was stigmatized, especially for women back then. So you can understand it, but it doesn't make it right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. What about you? What's your favorite memory of being a child?
I'll be dead honest, and it's just like this blissful period of my life where all responsibilities were taken from me, and it was just...
Everything's done. You know what you're eating because Mum puts a plate of food in front of you.
What a beautiful time. The only responsibility you have is to play and to be and to create and to be a kid.
That's where my niece is right now.
Yeah.
Such a nice place. I mean, she seems very happy.
Yeah, it's beautiful. If you have a good, safe framework at home, I don't think there can. And it's so funny because after you get, not when you're a little kid, but once you get to junior high, high school, all you want is to be an adult. And you just don't realize how fucking good you have it in some ways.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you go back? Is there a period of life from your younger years that you'd love to go back and revisit?
With what brain?
Well, I mean, you don't want to be a 5-year-old walking around with, a 40-year-old's brain inside of it.
But then, would I even appreciate going back if I had the 5-year-old brain? But if I had the 40-year-old brain, you wouldn't enjoy it. So, I hear your question. I hear your question, but, you know what I mean?
I get you.
You know what would be fun?
No is the answer.
No. Unless it was in a dream, you could enjoy a moment. But, my brain is the only brain that could truly appreciate it. But if you go back in a 5-year-old brain, where am I? You know what I mean? To just relive a day or maybe a double consciousness day. I don't know.
I get you. Like a Freaky Friday thing where you switch with your younger self for a day. And they have to have all the stresses. Actually, no, that'd be even worse because then you'd have a 5-year-old inside your...
Burning my house down.
That would be the least of the worries, I think, of the lifestyle you live.
Yes, well, also, yes.
Are there any... I mean, this might be more on me, it sounds like, because you had a pretty balanced upbringing, whether there were behaviors or things that happened, and it doesn't even need to be directly like your parents to you. It could just be things you experienced amongst your friendship group or growing up in that era. Things that at the time you normalized as, well, this is how everyone's treated. This is what happens to all kids. That now, when you look back on it, you go, that was fucked up. That was super weird. That was super dangerous, upsetting, Yeah,
so it's kind of the opposite, but what my sister and I talk about all the time is that until we reached the real world, we didn't realize how probably positively, ridiculously abnormal our family is. How smart our parents are, how much they help. But no, I'm serious. But like all of these things that you like get out into the world and you're like, everything else is so fucked up. And now I'm like thrown into this stupid fucking environment.
I normalized how stable my upbringing was. It was such a...
But like in reality, like it's fucking rare as fuck. Like again, I have my complaints.
So jealous of you right now.
Overall, like my mom was a stay-at-home mom. If I forgot my lunch, she brought it to school for me.
I love the idea that it's problematic for you how you normalize a well-balanced upbringing. No, but it is
because it's like shocking to get out into the world, and it clarified really interesting advice that I got.
You wish you'd grown up a little quicker, or you'd seen a little bit more of the other side of life at a younger age, so you were less.
It was abrasive moving to DC.
Right.
It was shocking moving to DC because of that, and even like the interesting advice like my parents gave me about dating, and I'm interested to hear what you feel about this, but I believe it, and this is going to piss so many people off.
Okay, let's hear it.
To only for long-term relationships date people with similar, relatively stable family backgrounds, because it's going to be hard to be happy with someone who...
I mean, whilst I get that that's not how the real world works, I mean, do I disagree with your parents? If you come from a pretty well balanced...
and people get pissed.
Well, look, I'll be real with you. It's taken me until maybe a year ago to fully develop emotional regulation because of not healing a childhood version of myself that was emotionally dysregulated and brought up in a household where there was no emotional regulation between my parents. So
does that childhood trauma before now put a strain on your relationships?
100%. And the traumas that my partners have experienced absolutely put a strain on me as a partner of theirs, and continue to. Do you know what I mean?
And I'm not saying I
don't
clearly
haven't
traumas.
met the person who I'm now on an even keel with, where I go, we both had some fucked up things, but we've both worked on ourselves and have evolved out of that place and become real adults now.
Yeah.
So I normalized like all of the worst shit. I remember for the first, until maybe like 5 years ago, I used to think that arguing with your partner, getting very upset and very like raising your voices, being impassionate about stuff was a sign of love, that you like, of course it is, because look, we're arguing because we care so much. This is passion. It's not, emotional dysregulation and trauma that is unresolved.
But the opposite can be just as traumatic. So that's your trauma, but my trauma is the opposite. Because my parents didn't argue, but not because they... everyone should argue some. Like, there's no way you're in a relationship that you're complete... But
I think you should disagree, but I
all.
don't think you should argue.
Well, they never argued. Yeah, they did. But then the problem with that is... elevated conflict.
I love you desperately trying right now to work out how your upbringing was a bad thing, even though it sounds like the most perfect fucking childhood ever. No, but really, like, having two parents who learn how to communicate in a healthy fashion, it really is bad.
When someone tries to yell at you and you can't handle it. Like, literally can't handle it.
Oh, I see what you mean. So being unused to that, not being able to field someone else's dysregulation. It feels like someone's punching
me or something. It feels... so fucking scary when someone comes at me with even like a normal, what's probably a normal level of that, feels like we're in a fucking scary fight.
Right. Yeah.
A scary fight.
You're soft is what you're saying.
Really soft.
Emotionally sensitive.
Very fucking sensitive.
I hadn't even considered that. Yeah. That's a good point. All right.
I'm overly soft and overly sensitive. I'm like a weird little raw nerve out here in the environment.
I still think that's a better ailment to have than just, feeling, well, I can't have a normal conversation with my partner without blowing up and screaming and shouting and wanting to punch a hole in a wall. We do a lot of that. My child has got a lot to answer for. White dudes, especially white men, punch a lot of walls. There's a lot of wall punching.
Because they can. No, and I don't mean that sarcastically.
It's because we want to do... No, but it's not even... I don't know that many black dudes who punch in walls, or... I don't,
right,
I'm just
because
saying, it's like a white
I think it's looked at differently. And I think privilege allows you that privilege.
It is, yeah, you're right.
I'm saying because you can.
If you're a black kid and you punched a hole in the wall, your mum's going to give you a clip around the end and be like, who's going to fix that shit? Or if you did it at school, wouldn't there be a difference between some white kid flipping a desk over? Oh, 100%, yeah.
So because
100%.
You can.
Yeah, you're right.
Privilege.
And also because we're incredible at DIY, so we know how to fill it in. Let's do some viewer questions. Ladies and gentlemen. Our long-time support, she's been a supporter of the Patreon. By the way, it's a good time for us to talk about the Patreon page.
Absolutely.
Before we go to these questions.
Patreon.com, Cougar Convo.
There you go. Patreon.com/comic Cougar Convo is the website.
Yeah.
And we've reshuffled it. We've changed it all. I went in,
We're making
restructured.
It better all the time.
And also making it cheaper and more available to more people. So there's only 2 tiers now.
Yeah.
$5 is the standard sign up, and that is to get the episodes 24 hours earlier than anyone else.
Awesome.
You get the behind the scenes photos, you get the behind the scenes videos, you will also get secret extra episodes. If you take the $10 donation, monthly donation, you get
like when I'm going to trip out with you.
There you go. Exactly. You'll get to see those extra episodes, which will be coming. You'll also get to DM us directly as well, so you can reach out to us. You get shout out on the show as well at the beginning, and you also get to submit questions, which we will read out. Speaking of which, let's do our Patreon shout outs, ladies and gentlemen, for this
shout them fucking out.
This week episode. So we got Orla Varmos. Thank you very much, Orla. That's a great name. Do you want to do the next person?
Yeah. Stephen McNally.
I'm assuming Scottish.
Hi,
I don't know. It could be from anywhere. Next up, this is not their real name, I assume. The Ravaged One.
That's probably their real name.
The Ravaged One. Can you imagine if you changed that by default on your license?
I'm doing it.
You're going to do that? That would apply. And what's our last one? Our last Patreon shout out this week?
Tilly Twinkle Tits.
Tilly Twinkle Tits, that's the username they requested to be read out. So, Tilly.
Hi, Tilly.
Hello to you and your twinkly titties.
I hope they are. I hope they're bedazzled at all times.
That makes me think that they're probably perky and small, and she puts glitter on them at Burning Man Festival.
E-girl. Or like, what is it called? Like when they do the EDC and the...
I get you. Yeah, exactly.
You know. I'm old. I'm sorry.
Posers.
I'm trying.
That's what we're thinking of. Posers. What's that festival that everyone goes? Coachella. Just, my nipples are out, but I covered them with a tiny bit of silver glitter. My name is Moonbeam, but my parents are billionaires and I'm an heiress.
I'd still lick her titties.
I would too. Viewer questions. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Sherry Hendricks, long-time support, asks, what's your favourite memory from childhood and would you change anything? All right, pretty broad. One favourite memory from childhood. Go.
My favourite memory from childhood, at least the one that I can think of right now, is when my mom, it was so nice. Like, we didn't have a lot of money, so we had to hand make all our Halloween costumes.
You had love. That's what you had, love.
Yeah. And I begged her. It was a complicated costume, but I wanted to be Robin Hood so bad. And she made me
Men in Tights era Robin Hood?
Because I'm old.
Yeah, but okay, all right.
Yeah, no. I was like
so
a
child. The cartoons where he was a fox?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she made me the most perfect Robin Hood costume, including a semi-functional bow and arrow.
Oh, that's cool.
That's fucking bomb.
That is cool.
Yeah.
You should remake that and do a scene in it. That would be quite fun. The sheriff.
But it's like
wait.
The sheriff of what?
The sheriff of Nottingham. Yeah.
I was gonna do like a bow and arrow, but it's like dildos, and you like shoot the.
You shoot the dicks.
Yeah, you shoot the dicks at the mouths.
It cuts to. Oh, you love me, the princess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Little John, he's got actually a huge John.
Of course, because isn't it always ironic?
Yeah, we've just written a scene. We've just written the entire
If you think I'm not doing
movie.
it, you're wrong.
Yeah, I want to direct it. I want to come in.
Yes, I'll let you. I'll totally let you.
And my favourite childhood would be actually...
But wait, you missed the second half of the question.
Would you change anything about your childhood? We got so many to get through. I was just trying to keep it speedy.
Oh, yeah. I would say the only thing that I would change is that even though my sister's way younger than I am, I really dismissed her until she was like in high school.
Oh, fair.
She was like too young and too little, and I didn't want to play with her much.
You wish you'd
and
be
I
more
regret
present
that.
for her?
Yeah, big time.
I feel that. I think my sister
time.
feels that about me. When she went off to university, she wished she'd checked in on me a bit more because she knows she left me with two parents screaming at each other. You know? Favorite memory of childhood? Mine would be the magic set I got when I got a famous little. I've got a famous photo.
To you.
Within my I got a number 2 happy second birthday badge on. I'm wearing a little tuxedo with a little black bow tie, and I've got a magic set, a Paul Daniels magic set, and I was wowing everyone with my magical skills.
At like what age?
And what would I change? Everything else.
You'd keep the magic set and change
everything else about
other
my
thing.
Shit. I mean, I would. You know what I would change? I would have my parents divorce. when
At
we
8
were
years old.
when I was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So they could have an opportunity to have gone off and been happy on their own or with someone else rather than miserable together.
Yeah.
Second question, Raiden Sano asks, great name, Raiden. When does childhood end? Is it? This is a good question. This is relating back to what we said at the beginning. Is it after the confirmation or the bar mitzvah? Is it when one reaches the age of 16 or 18 or 21? Is it after witnessing something really traumatic and having to make a really heavy decision regardless of age? Wow, great question, Raiden.
Yeah.
When do you think? When does it end?
Yeah, so I honestly think, and it's kind of like back to our first question about when you should tell kids stuff, I think it's deeply personal. I think, unfortunately, some people's childhoods, because of traumatic incidences,
They have to grow up pretty quick.
End way too soon. And some people shouldn't, like even if you take the adult industry, like technically you're allowed to perform at 18, but I could easily argue that with some people, 21 or 25 would be a better age to join. And part of that is personality. So I think, like, as a society, we're like, look, well, we have to put a number on certain things.
Yeah.
So yes, most people have a lot of adult skills by 18, but it's all nebulous. I think some people are, like, I was an immature, not like goofy, but like naive 18-year-old.
Right.
Well, some people now are more grown than I am now at
like
18.
12, 13 years of age, they know more about the world than I did. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think all of those things come into play, but I think it is our job as a society to put at least some parameters around it to keep most people safe.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Raiden answered his own question because it is a multitude of all those things.
Yeah.
You know, it can be just like your age. It can be getting, right now I'm officially
I got my driver's license.
Those
or I can
monumental
drink
moments.
today. Or...
And when you're 16, someone who's 18 seems so old. Someone who's 21 seems like a different lifetime away.
Yeah.
When you're 21, someone who's 30 seems so old and so grown up.
Crazy old.
So realistically, I think your childhood ends when you later rest your child.
Yeah.
And for some people, unfortunately, that can be
Never.
really, really young, or it can be really young because they have traumatic experiences, or they're still running around like babies.
Or because they've had traumatic experiences, they never healed that child and it's still running the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Next question. Happy G Lucky. Go on, you want to read that one out?
Asks, what was your go-to Saturday morning cereal and cartoon? That is an iconic combo. And the only time... Okay, so...
You only get one. One cereal, one cartoon. Go.
I wasn't allowed to eat cereal because it was bad for you.
Wow.
So I only got to eat cereal when I was at my cousins' or friends' houses. So my favorite cereal, although I never got to eat it, was Lucky Charms, because how could you be more fun?
You went straight for the crack. You were like, literally, I'm not getting any of this shit. Give me the
sugar,
sugariest.
I want every color. I want every sugar. I want like either like a Cocoa Puffs or a Lucky Charms. I want the milk to taste better than the cereal at the end.
And I want it to be products sold to me by a tiny, terrifying little person who's all about greed.
Yes. Nothing is better than that for Saturday morning cartoons. And then my go-to cartoon changed a lot, but I'd say Care Bears, My Little Ponies, Smurfs, She-Ra, Thundercats. I know that's a lot.
Thundercats, I'm
sorry, I had to pick 5.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Tell me yours.
I would say...
Sorry, I couldn't...
all the cartoons that existed.
No, it's just the good ones.
I would say that my memory that I think of when I think Saturday morning cereal cartoon, definitely cereal would be Cocoa Pops. Cocoa Pops, yeah. We call them Cocoa Pops. I think you call them Cocoa Puffs there. But they're Pops, Cocoa Pops in England, because they pop when you put the milk on it.
Look it up, please. What does it say on the box?
Cocoa Pops in England. Yeah, Cocoa Pops.
And are you talking about the Rice Krispies that were chocolate flavored?
They're basically chocolate Rice Krispies,
Or are you talking about the big balls of chocolate?
No, we never had that. We had a limit on the amount of crack that they used to put in our cereal. They still do. In fact, most of our foods have half of the stuff.
Yeah, thank God.
No, it's just America versus Europe. We just have slightly different things.
You care about
There you go.
people.
Cocoa Pops, Rice Krispies with a little chocolate milk, basically. Look at that. And if you look at what's in those versus the Cocoa Puffs in America, it's
what
like
are those
insane.
big circular chocolate ones?
Cocoa Puffs, but they're American.
Oh,
this is what you're talking about.
Oh, there's both.
Yeah.
You just blew my mind
You've always
again.
got a little midget selling your stuff, haven't you? That's like the thing out here.
It's friendly.
Yeah, just a type. Well, that one's a bird.
The smaller,
Yeah,
the friendlier.
But he does look like he's doing a line of.
Animal.
Looks like he's doing a line of yak. No, look at that. I mean, he's literally just.
Well, that's what you're doing. It is that.
He's really like.
It's like racist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's like.
He's a bird.
Yeah, but you know.
Is he?
Like they're saying it's. There it is.
It's supposed to be a certain
He's
nationality.
Like yeah, like he's a black person.
I wouldn't say he looks like a. No.
That's what I've heard.
That's what he's heard. That's what he's seen on Rumble.com.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm supporting it.
This is what
I think
Andrew
that's
Tate told me
reaching
on
a
one of
little
his
bit.
university. I get what you're saying. Racist people will sort of
in the
suggest that.
commercials, he acts like a crack fiend.
Oh,
Does
really?
he?
He can't get enough of it. Okay, see if you can bring up a video. And then my cartoon would be Ren and Stimpy. Do you remember how crazy
yes, but
those
I was
were?
a little too old for that. Like I watched it. Like I feel like
You
even
can watch it today as an
even
adult, it's
Ninja
still cool.
Turtles. Like I was just a little too old for that.
You know they made an adult Ren and Stimpy as well. They made an adult version of it.
Wasn't the original version an adult version? Because
No,
that
it
was
wasn't.
not
It was
for
for-
kids.
it was for teens.
No, it was
All right, let's have a look.
teens.
Let's see
It
what
was
we got
for
here.
teens. It wasn't for kids.
Okay, I found the Cocoa Puffs bird here.
Let's have a look at the Cocoa
Let me
Puffs.
see
The
how-
cuckoo bird.
Offensive he appears.
Yeah. Let's take a look here.
If I'm going cuckoo for the more chocolatey taste of Cocoa Puffs, I'm going to ride up and down in this elevator all day.
11th floor.
He definitely seems like a drug addict.
Yeah, see?
Whoa, crunchy!
13th floor.
Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes.
Okay,
bugging
he
out.
looks like a drug addict.
Yeah,
But he definitely sounds white, bro. That
Yeah,
sounds
he
like the
doesn't-
whitest man I've
Yeah.
ever had.
He's serving meth. He's serving, yeah.
breakfast with 10 important vitamins and minerals.
Being cuckoo sure has its ups and downs.
I'm seeing that with a
All right,
very
that
different
last-
set of
That
eyes.
last line.
I'm very upset.
Definitely could be a man of colour just being like, no, being black skin has its ups and downs in the modern era. Do you know what I mean?
That
He could be
was
right.
crazy.
Okay, that
Damn,
was
right.
worse
Why
than
did they
I
even
remembered.
say that?
Yeah, it's
doesn't
super
even make
weird.
sense.
It's
That's
super weird.
extremely weird.
There was a lot of actually fucked up advertising that we don't even recognize because we just, of the era, were like, whatever. We didn't realize surreptitiously we were being pushed to think certain people were certain things.
Yeah,
You know?
but I need to circle back to this cartoon because I don't accept Ren and Stimpy. How old were you when you watched Ren and Stimpy?
Oh, I mean, young, like from probably like 10 until like
okay,
15
okay.
or something.
That-
you know,
that's
it was
fine
on.
then. Yeah.
It was fun. But then they made an adult version of it in the evenings. There was a different one. Let's get on to our next question. We've got so many to get through. Emma Richtofen asked, do you think... so this one's a bit long-winded. So I was trying to decipher this. She said, do you think it's a good thing when a child of a toxic and angry family, so coming from a toxic home life, turns out better than the rest of the family, even if they aren't actually personally doing anything productive with their own life at all through their childhood and beyond? So
Yeah, I
basically...
need to read that to myself.
Yeah, I know.
almost.
I feel like Emma's like offloading
No, it's fine. It's
some very
fine.
personal feelings
Yeah,
here.
yeah, it's a good thing with childhood.
I've sort of tried to decipher this. What I think Emma's saying is like, you know, even if you try and free yourself from the toxic upbringing you had, if it still affects you that you find it difficult to do things and achieve things, is just working on your own personal issues enough in life? And I agree. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
If you're doing any work on yourself, it is more than enough. Most people can't even do that. And
the
not only is
hardest
it
work
enough,
to do
but
is
it's
to end a cycle of abuse.
Yes.
So if you can end it for yourself and for the next generation, you've done the hardest thing that's out there.
Fucking iconic. It's not just hard. You've done stuff that your entire family for all those generations hasn't been able to do. That is
also,
so strong.
Her second part of the sentence, you know, and if they aren't personally doing anything productive, I actually would argue by freeing yourself from that toxic environment is one of the most productive things you can do, Emma. So I hope you're all right.
The capitalistic view of productivity is bullshit.
Yeah.
Working on yourself, what could be better?
Yeah.
Especially if you have young people in your
paying
life,
other
like
people
children,
to work for you.
or
That's better. That's way better. Having your upbringing would have been way better. Chelsea Craft asks,
help with your homework and whatnot.
Chelsea wants to know, as a child, did your family mainly stay in one place or did you move around a lot? And did that affect you? If so, were you, well, I know like military families, military brats, they get dragged all over the world, don't they? What about you? Were you in one place? I mean, you've already established you moved to DC and that did have an impact on you.
So we didn't move around a lot, but so basically, I'll just give you a quick rundown. When I was really, really young, we went back and forth from D.C. to Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
What was taking your family back and forth?
My dad's job.
Dad's job.
Yeah,
And he was
so,
what?
A neuroscientist. He was a research scientist. So we worked in the winters and then in the summers at, right?
That sounds cool as hell.
Yeah, and it was. And Cape Cod in the summer doesn't suck, right? So
Although
then,
take your kid to work day must have been boring because it's just a bunch of nerds in it.
it was the best. I used to dissect optic lobes from squid in piecemeal for a summer job. I have had the weirdest summer jobs because of my dad's lab. I've
Another
done
great
dissections
setting
at
for
a young age.
a scene, actually. That's
But yeah, so we did that, and then we lived on the Cape full time, and then we went back to DC where we were only on the Cape in the summers. And that move to DC, when I did not want to leave my friends,
broke you.
Sucked.
Yeah.
It fucking sucked. The cultural shock was shitty.
Now, as an adult now, looking back on that experience, are you grateful for the moves and for the change and the shift? It sounds like it brought you out of your childhood naivety to some extent. Or would you wish you could have stayed just back in
because the life in DC was far more realistic to the life an adult needs to live. So I was just really sheltered, and then nothing was wrong. Like, I didn't go to a dangerous high school or anything. It wasn't like some crazy guns and people beating each other up or all this stuff. It was honestly still probably a sheltered high school, just a shock to me. So I think it was really good because I got to fucking evolve
and grow a little bit.
Yeah, it was just sudden.
I was pretty much static. I think I grew up in the suburbs of London, and I would have liked to have traveled more. I think most of my best personality growth have come from traveling the world, seeing different places. But I also know friends who would drag from spot to spot to spot. And like you say, the biggest impact for a kid is not feeling stability in friendship group, education. So the grass is always greener. You know, some people want to travel more. Some people probably wish they could have had a more static home life.
But like my sister would probably think it was only positive because she was 5 years younger than me.
Right.
So it was really different. I think it was just like a delicate junior high is a shit time for most kids. You know what I mean?
Especially to have a big shift
like
that.
To have a brand new school, to go from a small class to 500 kids in your class. It was like, what the
Did it feel like one of those classic American movies where coming of age movies where you're like, well, now I'm at the big school and look, there's the jocks and there's the geeks.
Literally.
Which group am I going to join the lunchroom?
I'll tell you how deep that
Was it like Mean Girls?
Literally.
Yeah.
My best friend Allison and I were brand new in the school at the same time, and we actually made a game plan to become popular and executed it.
You know
like
what we haven't even, this is what we haven't even established. I realized this entire episode. What kid were you? Who were you as a kid? Were you cool? Were you nerdy? Were you awkward? Were you hot? What were you? I mean, hot
worried and
relative
insecure.
to other people your age.
Yeah. I was desperately insecure when I first moved to junior high, so all I wanted was to be popular. I made sure to date the popular guy. I made sure to get into cheerleading. I made sure to do all the things, have the right friends.
At what age is this? You became...
what is junior high, 13?
So at 13 years old, prior to that, who were you? What was your identity as a kid?
I don't even know that I had just a nerdy, regular, playful kid in all the like advanced classes and just doing normal stuff.
You weren't in the sporty stuff.
Not particularly sporty.
Okay, so
Played the flute, into dance, horseback riding was big in my life. No theater.
Just the horse riding
just
and the flute.
Just the horse riding and the flute and the dance and the ballet and all that stuff, you know.
So cultured.
And then I really cared about being popular.
Right.
And then once I got into high school, I didn't care about being popular anymore. I quit cheerleading in lieu of the marching band because you couldn't do both at the same time.
And also the marching band, that's where all the sexual shit was going on. That set you
it
up
was
for life
way
now.
cooler. It did. Yeah. And then I didn't do drama club, but I did stage crew because I really liked building things. So I built... So I was kind of behind the scenes there. So I feel like in high school, I allowed myself to calm down and be more nerdy.
And re-embrace your nerdiness.
Yeah.
Nice.
How about you?
Again, I mean, I was a little theatrical kid, but I was very sporty. I lived a parallel life. So I had one side of my life, which was I had long floppy hair, like curtains. I used to skateboard and hang out with the alternative kids and then do the theatre shows as a theatre kid and all that.
Theatre kids were nerdy, though, yeah?
Sure, I was bright and I was hardworking. But then on the flip side, I also smoked weed and played in all the sports teams.
Weed.
Yeah, and I was like hanging out with older friends. So I had this weird, and I got in a lot of fights because I was very tall. And people always want to pick on the tallest kids in the class. Like,
and you
just
had a little
how
bit
it
of aggression going on.
And deep, unresolved trauma that made me angry at the world and means that I had to... if anyone cussed my mum, you know, like mum cussing is a huge part of being a child. Like, you know, oh, fuck your mum. Your mum's so fat, blah, 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 blah. You know, she has to use a boomerang to put on her belt in the morning. You know, all of that stuff. All of those mum cusses was like standard in my school. Sure. But for some weird reason, I had this very fucked up sense of protection over my mother. I don't know where that came from. I got to look into that more.
Probably unpack that.
Yeah, I need to deeper. And so if people would cuss my mum, for me, that was instant fight. Oh, you want to fight me?
You'd literally just like hit
I go,
them?
don't cuss my mum. Let's throw down.
Wow.
Don't speak about my mother.
Yeah.
Super weird.
0 to 100.
0 to 100, yeah. And a lot of
Interesting.
people took me up on that offer.
But okay, so you were like fights, theater, and then you said sporty. What sport?
Everything. Rugby, cricket, football. I used to be in the first team for cricket and rugby, and then the
So those are,
second
like, the
team,
popular kids.
captain of the second team for soccer.
Would you
Yeah.
say that you were popular in the middle? Was that not a thing in your high school?
It's weird. I was popular amongst different
Yeah.
groups, yeah. And then like, I guess the coolest kids, if we talk like the kids, bless you. If we talk about like the kids who are a bit more ghetto, a bit more like tough, those kids I didn't really fuck with because I
Were
didn't
those
hang with them
popular
outside.
kids?
Yeah.
Those wouldn't have been popular kids in my school.
Really?
Tough kids? No.
But I went to a school that I had a scholarship, so
Yeah.
I got 80% off the school fees.
Okay.
So I
Private
went to
school?
a private school that was a lot like it was a posh school,
Yeah.
but then so we got all these kids that came from backgrounds like
Wealth.
yours, where everything is like, well, not just wealth, but also like everything seems all right at home, and the parents are pretty well balanced, and blah blah blah. And then so kids who were like a bit more rough and ready and tougher and got in fights and stuff, they were kind of idolized at school because I think
Really?
yeah, because all these nerdy posh kids wanted to be cool like the tough kids who had like the Nike tracksuit and looked like they'd mug you on the weekend. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And did.
interesting.
And so I sort of had one foot in either camp, but was never fully accepted by either, I guess. It was weird.
Like a loner?
No, just more like, didn't really know where I fit in.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Did you,
I didn't realize how depressing this episode
I
was
know
going
we
to
have
be
another
for.
question from them, but did you go through a phase in your life where you felt like your peers were the most important thing to you? Like your whole family was like a certain peer group that you had? I did.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the alternative kids, the skateboarders,
Yeah.
the guys who smoke weed and
Yeah,
skateboard on the weekends. That was
those
my
were
crew,
like
really.
You're like,
We were in a punk rock band.
yes, those kids, yeah.
You know,
where you're
stuff
like,
like
these
that.
are like for lifers.
Yeah, like 2-liter bottles of White Ace cider. I was the one who had the fake ID out the back of the FHM magazine.
You were bad.
So yeah, so I could like get us all the drink and the
FHM
cigarettes. So you smoke like 20 Mayfairs, you know, or Marlboro Reds. You get like a bottle of White Ace cider for like £1.99 for like a 2-liter thing.
Disgusting.
And Lambrini, which was this disgusting, sickly, sweet wine. It was trash.
Oh, yeah.
So you get a bottle of that and a bottle of cider. You drink both of those, get fucked up,
Yeah.
and then finger a girl on a gravestone. Do you know what I mean? That was my teenage
That's
years.
very specific.
We used to hang out in the graveyard and skateboard and start fires. Where Lord Byron used to write poetry.
kid.
Literally, Harrow on the Hill. There's this church
Oh
on the
my
top of Harrow on the
God.
Hill where we used to go up and hang out up at the church. And
How are your
Lord
grades?
Byron used to, but great grade. I mean, when I was 16, I was incredibly bright. I got like 3 A stars, 7 A's at
I don't know what that
GCSE level.
means.
So I did an extra subject than everyone else, most people
Yeah.
did. And I got 3 A stars, which is like 95% or above.
Oh, nice,
And then
yeah.
7 A's, which is like 85% or above. So all my exams
An
were like
A is
top.
85%.
Something like that, yeah.
It's loose
back
in
then.
England.
Oh, yeah. That's high.
No, 90 starts at A.
Oh,
A
it might
is
be 90. I don't know what it
Either
was.
way, I'm teasing
We'd
you.
have to look back,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I was incredibly bright
Good.
and hardworking.
Well, you're smart now.
And then that wasn't good enough for my parents.
What?
When I got my 3 A stars, 7 A's, which by the way put me like, I think I was like the fourth highest scores in this whole school.
Were they disappointed?
My mum was like, you could have got 2 more A stars. If you worked harder, you could have got 2 more A stars. And so after that, I just stopped trying.
Yeah.
And then
Fuck
I got
that.
2 B's and a D, baby, for A
Yeah.
levels. Which wasn't good enough for me to get into college, to the college I was meant to be accepted at. But because my
shit.
interview with the college was so good, they gave me a place anyway. They went,
What was your
just
major?
go. English literature and theatre
Nice.
studies.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that.
Waste of fucking time.
Whatever. You did
Waste
it.
of time.
You did it.
So there we go. Look, Jables, next question asks, what was something you wore, thought, or did back when you were a child that you thought was super cool, but now would be considered super cringe?
Everything.
Yeah, that sounds like your entire
Like
life. You just
literally everything now.
being balanced
Currently.
and not having any issues. Like I used to think that.
I wore a tri-cornered hat and a polyester suit in band. Like, and I don't even know if I like ever washed that hideous contraption.
That was always cringe. You
Did you,
just
like,
would-
there's nothing good about that.
But
like,
did you know it was cringe when you were wearing it when you were a
Fuck yeah.
teenager? Yeah. So no, I mean something that you
Yeah.
were like, this is cool, man. I'm super cool because I got this thing.
Oh, my spiked bangs. I used to crimp my hair, curl this part of it, like curl my hair,
Yeah.
and then crimp my bangs, which is like the
Oh, I know what crimping
and then
bangs looks like.
spike it in the air like a wave.
Like a peacock's plumage.
I spent an outrageous amount of time every day doing that.
Wow. So you were literally rocking There's Something About Mary jizz hair.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Prior to the film coming out.
Aquanet. I personally ruined the ozone layer. Yeah.
With all that hairspray.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's illegal
that is pretty
hairspray
cringy.
now. Yeah. How about you?
Cringy stuff. I mean, I'll tell you what I used to do that I think is cringe now. I used to do two things as a kid that was super cringe. One, I wore my trousers, all my jeans were like under my ass cheeks. Because I was a skateboarder.
So
you listened to hip hop and rock
they
music.
All did. I know.
Your belt literally goes under your ass. Yeah. And they're like super big. It was all skateboard brands. So you wear a pair of Vans and you'd have your trousers under your asshole. That's super weird. If I see a kid with their trousers on their ass right now, I'd give them a kick up the ass and be like, pull your fucking pants up. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then also, I used to spit. Spitting is a weird thing for on lovers. No, I used to.
No, but like, what context?
I used to smoke cigarettes, right? I used to smoke like 20 Marlboro Reds. I thought I was a bad boy, a cowboy. And so my throat was full of shit probably, and my lungs were gross. But I would just like, spit. Like you'd spit.
On the sidewalk?
Yeah, kids do it when they smoke. They're like, just spitting on the sidewalk all the time. It's just like, just spitting out phlegm.
Disgusting.
A lot of teenage boys do it.
I'm sure.
As like a thing. Like, look at me.
Because I'm spitting.
I'll tell you why. It makes us see. That's it. That's literally it. It's like, it's tough.
Yeah, it's gross.
Presented in movies. Like the idea of the guy, where it starts? Chewing the tobacco and spitting in the spittoon in the cowboy movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of presented as like, wow, he's
cool,
tough.
masculine.
Yeah. Whereas now, if there's one of my next door neighbors. I see him and he's like got to be like 17, 18, and he'll walk up and he spat on my plants one day. He was walking past the front of my driveway and I almost ran out and punched him in the face. And then I realized he's a child. I was angry about it.
But you're like that guy. Get off my lawn. Don't spit on my plants.
You see my house. I literally have a sign that says, stay off the grass. Please keep off the grass.
You're that guy.
Well, fucking, it's my land. Yeah, don't spit on my shit.
What did you think of you as a child?
Oh, I would have thought I was a little arsehole, yeah. I would have wanted to run me over. I'm pretty certain of it.
You've become that guy.
I understand why the pedophiles groom me. I was a deserving mark, apparently, for that absolute damage. I mean, I was really hot. I had curtains and I was a little dickhead, so someone had to straighten me out. It had to be, Mr. King, my Latin teacher. It was always the Latin teachers. All three of the pedophiles were all Latin teachers, by the way. Are you joking? Nope. Facts. One from my original school, and then the second one, it was my deputy headmaster, and then this old Scottish guy called Mr. King. The deputy headmaster never touched any kids, but he got caught with a bunch of stuff on his computer.
Later on?
And went to court, and apparently the judge sort of said to him, it's clear that you're at odds with your own desires because you haven't acted upon them and you clearly feel great remorse. But the fact that you have illegal material. The fact that you got these materials showed that you still wanted to explore those things rather than just continue to deal with them. And
you're commercially supporting something that abuses children.
100%.
If you watch it or look for it or Google it,
I don't know
you're
what the footage was. It could have been like clips from a children's show. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was material of kids having sex with adults or whatever.
Or even
whatever, or worse. It was, but it was still fucked up.
Yeah.
And then Mr. King, he got caught after he was dead. He basically, a bunch of things came out. He got accused a few times, got kicked out of the school. They didn't take him to court. They just fired him. Because this was of a different generation.
It was a different generation.
Well, all right, he's only fucked the 3 kids. I guess we'll just fire him without severance pay. But then it all went to court, and then he died before it all went to court. So he just got away with a lifetime of abusing kids. True of a lot of people in the UK who did that. Jimmy Savile.
Or in America or whatever.
Half of the people who worked at the BBC back in the day.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So
Who's next?
Okay, let's get into our other questions.
Kraft? Did we read that one?
We've already done Chelsea's. Yeah, we already did it. Yeah.
J-Bless?
Jables, we've read Jables.
All right, that's it. We did it.
I wanted to know, let's try and lift it to something positive, because I feel like we've dealt with a lot of our traumas.
Yeah.
Who is someone, or what was a moment when you were a kid that deeply impacted you, like inspired you and made you feel like you could do anything, achieve anything? Because we've always got those people that you look back on and you go, that person, I'm really grateful for what they gave me, as they were a well-balanced adult.
Yeah.
And if you say your mum and dad again, then I'm going to be like,
fucking kill you.
Yeah. So I feel this is a positive, uplifting
one
way.
of my history teacher, my sophomore year in high school, was the first adult that I felt didn't treat me like a kid at all, but no, appropriately. No.
The signs are there, ladies and gentlemen.
No, but just like
he used to write
Can
me
you imagine?
romantic
Can
poetry
you fucking imagine?
and let me drive his car.
What? No, Jesus Christ.
Another history teacher. See, it's Latin history. It's all related.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Same thing.
It's pretty much the fucking same thing.
So what do you mean he didn't treat you like a kid?
I felt, and other people did, like if you had maybe something going on emotionally, you could talk to the counselor, but I felt like they were always a little patronizing or like overly professional. You still felt like, you know, when you're a kid, you feel grown, even if you're not. So it was nice to have an adult feel like you were able to have, like, even though I'm sure they were still mediating it, like an adult conversation, like, oh, I'm having trouble with
some of the
this.
boundaries?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay, he just allowed you
super
to...
professional, but like one of the first people that made me feel like I could speak and be respected as the adult I thought I was.
Right.
Do you know
he
what I
didn't
mean?
belittle you, yeah.
Yeah. And so like
100%
felt like
a
that
pedophile.
could
100%
be. Can you
a
imagine?
pedophile. He was grooming you.
Can
He
you
wanted you to feel
imagine?
like a woman. He was setting
Oh
the
my God.
tone. You can talk to me anytime, you know, about anything you want.
You've had a
even
tough
if it's
time.
about feminine things, you know. You're
Can
becoming
you
a young woman right now.
imagine?
All right, history teacher, sure.
No.
If you ever want to study after school.
Gross.
I mean,
Gross.
you literally make movies like that now, by the way.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I think part of the reason I can make those movies so lightheartedly is because I've never had any
Experienced
sexual
that,
trauma.
yeah.
I mean, I know like
I just
3
wish
out
they
of
were
4
more
people
accurate.
have. Or
I just wish the teachers who were
Disgusting.
having sex with the students in those porn movies were all Latin teachers. That would make it, for me, a little bit more honest.
you could jerk off to it.
Exactly.
Now, no.
Puella pulchra
Yeah.
es.
Math teacher. Yeah.
Math teachers aren't smashing. They're not throwing their back out. It's always the Latin teachers, the history teachers. So
gym
that's history
teachers.
teacher. Do you remember his name? What was his name? Mr. What?
I do. I don't know what if I want to call it out just because I'm a pornographer, but yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You don't want him to feel that he inspired you.
Can you imagine? No, definitely not. No, but I just felt like it was the first time I felt like, you know, seen as the adult I wished I had been.
I get
you.
you.
Know what I
I
mean?
get
And
you.
a lot of other kids felt that way. He was like the cooler teacher, the teacher people liked.
Gave you a little drink in your breaks after school. Used to hand out cigarettes.
Your teachers are
They
fucked up, man.
They kind of smelt funny as well. Kind of smelt a little weird. Like, I think
Marijuana
you're not painting a
cigarettes.
good picture. You're right. You probably shouldn't tell his name because I think we're going to get him arrested otherwise. I have a teacher as well. There was a teacher, Mr. Pankhurst. Shout out, Mr. Pankhurst. Neil. He was actually friends with my mum, who was a teacher as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was my theatre teacher. He just really, really inspired my love of performance and the art form. He was a good dude. Also, I get what you mean. He was on a level with us. He was like, if you're respectful of me and you act like adults, you don't act like stupid children. I won't treat you like a stupid child. But also, he wouldn't mind dressing you down. We respected him.
Right. They're not. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, shout out to Lord Rimmer, not Mr. Rimmer, Lord Rimmer, David Rimmer.
Lord Rimmer.
Yeah, and he was a math teacher, but he was also a sports teacher as well. He did both.
Okay.
He like coached the top teams.
Yeah.
And he was super sporty, so everyone respected him because he was like tough bloke. He was a tough lad from Manchester, you know.
Yeah.
Manchester. And he'd tell these stories, and he would like at one point he'd go, if your lads knuckle down and do your work. At the end of the lesson, I'll tell you a story about these. And he'd like pull his front teeth out. They were on a thing, and then he'd like click them back in. We all be like, what the fuck? I remember that moment. Everyone was like, wow.
Yeah.
So we all worked really hard. And then at the end, he spent 5 minutes talking about how he got his teeth knocked out.
You said lads. Did you not go to a co-ed school?
No, I went to an all-boys school. But we used to have discos with the girls' school. Things like that. And at age 11, I fingered a girl underneath the stairs of my hall. Yeah,
Young.
I remember that.
I got mad
no idea what I
because
was
my
doing.
boyfriend, when I was like 12, told his friend we French kissed, and I would never.
You would never have done. Meanwhile, I was knee-deep, 11 years old, desperately fumbling around trying to work out what a clitoris was. I was a fucked up child. I met that girl as well, by the way. I met her as an adult at a party.
Shut up.
Yeah. Her name was Sarah something. She's in my phone, actually. And I reconnected with her at some random thing.
Did you finger her?
She said to me...
for old time's
but she seemed like she wanted to. She literally was like, do you remember we met at a school disco? We made out. And I was like, and I said to her, we made out. I was like, hang on, was it the 11 plus? And she was like, yeah. I said, we didn't just make out, did we? Didn't I finger you behind the main staircase of my school hall?
Was she 11 too?
Behind the lockers. Oh, of course, yeah, we were both 11.
Well, it could have been 12. I don't know. It's a big time.
We were both
big
11.
age difference
and
at
she
that
was
time.
like, she was like, you were the first person to ever do that to me. I didn't really know what I was doing either, but I wanted you to do it. I just didn't really know. And
what
so,
to do.
yeah, we reconnected as adults.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But you
and her
didn't finger
vagina,
her.
exactly the same. Still, I don't know. I never saw it again. We never reconnected in that way. But isn't that crazy?
That's fucking
to
crazy.
meet the person you first kissed and you first
And were you
fingered.
in America when that happened?
England,
Where were
no,
you?
it's back in England.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that makes
yeah,
more. Well, anything could happen, but
Yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
even cooler.
Yeah.
You're like last week.
Yeah.
She was at Starbucks.
Actually,
Yeah.
she was the most influential person from my childhood. Thank you so much, Sarah, for letting me
Honest to
explore your
God,
vagina and let me, live out some of
They
those.
say guys who have sexual experiences before the age of 13 end up being like slightly more confident and successful. I don't know if that still holds true. It's an old statistic.
100% correct. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got so many more things we could talk about. Unfortunately, that's our time up.
I know. That went by fast.
Childhood, we've done it. We've
Yeah,
sorted
we've
it out.
done it.
Do you feel like you've laid yours to rest? Are you in a healthy place?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
me too. I feel like I've done a lot of work. If you
But
haven't...
I've worked on it too. I haven't just I've worked on it.
Well, this is what I was going to say. If you haven't, I highly encourage... There's a lot of shit that we'll normalise. I know we've joked about a bunch of stuff over the course of this. There's a bunch of shit that we normalise when we're kids.
Mm-hmm.
My advice, speak to a therapist. Go and talk to someone, do a bit of talk therapy, and maybe take some psilocybin or ketamine infusion and really replay some of those experiences aside from the emotional connection to them and see if you can heal yourself, because that's the best way to grow out of it. Some of the things we do as adults really are just our kids screaming for help.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
So be kind to yourself, be kind to one another, and tune in again. Make sure you check us out, patreon.com/comic Cougar Convo. Get those episodes 24 hours in advance. Get the BTS photos and videos. Get the secret extra episodes we're going to be releasing. DM us directly. Get shout outs on the podcast. Submit your questions to us for the next episodes. We'll be back again.
Yeah.
I've been a comic.
I'm a cougar.
And this is a convo. See you next time. Bye.